The crystalline spires of the Zaquin imperial palace stretched toward the violet sky, their surfaces refracting the light of 3 setting suns. Ambassador Ryland West stood before Emperor Nas, trying to maintain his composure despite the overwhelming grandeur of the alien court. The Emperor's 6-armed form towered over the human delegation, his iridescent scales shifting colors with each movement. Ambassador West, your species has proven itself worthy of joining our galactic community. Accept this token of our appreciation. A hovering platform glided forward bearing an ornate box made of what appeared to be living metal, its surface rippling. Like Mercury, Ryland's military training screamed caution, but diplomatic protocol demanded acceptance. You honor us, Emperor Nexus, Ryland said, bowing deeply. Earth looks forward to a prosperous alliance. The stellar envoy shuddered as enemy fire impacted its shields. Ryland gripped his command chair, watching tactical displays light up with hostile signatures. Commander Winters coordinated defense patterns, while Venice stood silently observing, her crystalline form casting prismatic patterns across the bridge. 6 shadowborn vessels, heavy cruiser-class Winters reported. They're trying to box us in. Ambassador Vena's melodic voice cut through the chaos. I can interface with your ship systems to enhance your defensive capabilities, but you must trust me. Ryland hesitated. The crystalline being had appeared too conveniently, knew too much yet. As another volley rocked the ship, he realized they had few options. Nuva, prepare for external interface, he ordered, but maintain core security protocols. Vena approached the ship's holographic interface panel, placing her crystalline hands upon it. Her form began to pulse with intense light, and suddenly the ship systems surged with new energy. Shield capacity increased by 200%. Nanova announced, detecting quantum-level improvements to weapons targeting and power distribution. The Emperor's multifaceted eyes glimmered. Indeed, though I must warn you, this gift requires special handling. Open it only in private, away from prying eyes. Ryland's unease grew, but he maintained his diplomatic smile. The box was transported to his ship, the stellar envoy under heavy guard. His first officer, Commander Tasha Winters, met him at the airlock. Sir, preliminary scans show unusual energy readings from the object, she reported. Should we quarantine it? Negative. The Emperor was explicit about privacy. Have it brought to my quarters. Ryle knew the stakes were too high to risk offending their new allies in his quarters. Ryland studied the box. Its surface seemed to respond to his presence, patterns flowing across it like liquid starlight. The ship's AI Novum materialized as a hologram. Ambassador, the box appears to be constructed of biomechanical material beyond our current understanding. Internal scans are inconclusive. Ryland placed his hand on the box's surface. It was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. Suddenly seams appeared in the previously seamless surface, and the box began to unfold like a blooming flower. Inside was a crystalline form, vaguely humanoid, but clearly alien. Its transparent body contained swirling patterns of light that moved like cosmic nebula. As Ryland watched in amazement, the figure began to stir. 2 luminous eyes opened, focusing on him with mistakable intelligence. The being sat up gracefully, its crystalline form catching and refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. I am Vena, it spoke, its voice like chimes in the wind. I have been waiting for you, Ambassador West. What are you? Ryland managed to ask. I am a Luminar, a being of living crystal and energy. My people have served as advisors to the Zorian Empire for millennia. Now I am assigned to you. Ryland frowned. Assigned? You mean you're not actually a gift, you're a spy? Vena's internal lights flickered. No, I am here to help bridge the gap between our peoples. There is much your species does not understand about galactic politics. The Emperor believes you need guidance, and if we refuse this guidance, that would be unwise. The GXs are more dangerous than you realize, Ambassador. There are forces at work that could destroy Earth if you make the wrong moves. Before Ryland could respond, alarms blared through the ship. Commander Winters' voice came over the comm. Ambassador, we have multiple unauthorized ships dropping out of hyperspace. They're charging weapons. Ryland cursed. Battle stations evasive maneuvers. Vena stood, her crystalline for pulsing with energy. These are likely the Shadowborn, a rebel faction opposed to Earth joining the galactic community. They will try to destroy this ship and blame it on equipment failure. How convenient that you know so much about them, Ryland said, while rushing to the bridge. Why should I trust you? Because right now, Ambassador, on your only chance of surviving what comes next. The Stellar Envoy shuddered as enemy fire impacted its shields. Ryland gripped his command chair, watching tactical displays light up with hostile signatures. Commander Winters coordinated defense patterns, while Venice stood silently observing her crystalline form casting prismatic patterns across the bridge. 6 Shadowborn vessels, heavy cruiser-class Winters reported. They're trying to box us in. Ambassador Vena, melodic voice cut through the chaos. I can interface with your ship systems to enhance your defensive capabilities, but you must trust me. Ryland hesitated. The crystalline being had appeared too conveniently, knew too much yet. As another volley rocked the ship, he realized they had few options. New VA, prepare for external interface, he ordered, but maintain core security protocols. Vena approached the ship's holographic interface panel, placing her crystalline hands upon it. Her form began to pulse with intense light, and suddenly the ship's systems surged with new energy. Shield capacity increased by 200%. Neto VA announced, detecting quantum level improvements to weapons targeting and power distribution through the enhanced systems. Ryland saw the battle with new clarity. The Shadowborn ships moved with practiced coordination. This was no random attack, but a carefully planned ambush. They're using Zorian military formations. Winter observed. These aren't just rebels, correct? Vena confirmed, her voice strained as she maintained the interface. The Shadowborn have infiltrated all levels of the Empire. This attack is meant to look like pirates, but these are Imperial ships. Ryland's tactical training kicked in with the enhanced systems. He saw a pattern in their attack formation, a deliberate weakness there. They're leaving their port flanks exposed. Target grid coordinates 739. The stellar endo weapons fired with unprecedented precision, striking the weak points in the Shadowborn formation. 2 enemy ships spun out of control, their systems disrupted, but victory was short-lived. A new signal appeared on their sensors, a massive vessel dropping out of hyperspace. Its design was unlike anything they'd seen before. Imperial. Not. Vena announced, her crystalline form dimming with apparent concern. We cannot win this fight directly. Suggestions? Ryland asked, setting aside his distrust. In the face of survival, the nearby asteroid field contains deposits of crystalline ore that will disrupt their targeting systems. If we can reach it, helm plot o force maximum thrust. The Stellar Envoy accelerated toward the asteroid field, weaving through enemy fire. The massive dread not pursued its weapons capable of destroying them with a single hit. Vena's interface with the ship grew stronger, her form now blazing with energy. Ambassador, I can create a quantum resonance field using the crystalline asteroids, but the power requirements. Will it save my crew? Yes, but it may destroy me in the process. Ryland met her luminous eyes. Why would you sacrifice yourself for us? Because the Empire must not be a live ode to control humanity's future. Your species has potential we never expected. The dread closed in its weapons, charging for a killing blow. Ryland made his decision. Do it. Venice form erupted with blinding light as she channeled power through the ship's systems. The crystalline asteroids around them began to glow, creating a web of energy that intensified until a massive pulse of quantum energy erupted from their position, catching the Shadowborn ships. In its wake, their systems overloaded weapons and engines, failing as the crystalline resonance disrupted their technology. When the light faded, Vena collapsed, her crystalline form dark and cracked. Ryland rushed to her side as Winters confirmed their enemies were disabled. Why did the Emperor really send you? Ryland asked softly. Vena's lights flickered weakly, to judge if humanity could be controlled or if unique needed to be destroyed. But watching you, your courage, your compassion, I chose to believe in something more. And now, Ambassador, you have a choice. The evidence of Imperial involvement in this attack could shatter the Alliance, or we could use it to expose the corruption within the Empire itself. Ryland finished. Yes, but that path leads to great danger. The Shadowborn are merely symptoms of a deeper darkness in the Empire. Ryan held her up supporting her weakened form. Then we'll face it together, Earth didn't come this far to bow to hidden. Master's Venice lights brightened slightly. The Emperor will not expect this level of defiance, nor will he expect one of his Luminar to side with humanity. Then we better make our next move count and VA begin compiling all sensor data from the battle commander. Winters set course for the nearest neutral station. We need to get this evidence out before they can bury it. As the stellar envoy limped away from the battlefield, Ryland gazed at the disabled Imperial ships. The game had changed. Earth was now caught in a web of galactic intrigue, but with Venet's help perhaps they could do more than just survive. They could change the very balance of power in the galaxy. The neutral station Concordia floated like a gleaming jewel against the backdrop of space, its crystalline spires reminiscent of both Zaquin and Luminar architecture. As the damaged stellar envoy docked, Ryland and Vina prepared to unveil their evidence of Imperial corruption. But something was wrong. The station's security protocols are offline. Novo reported standard authentication procedures have been bypassed. Ven's crystalline form pulsed with concern. The Shadowborn are already here. They must have anticipated our move. Ryland turned to Commander Winters. Lock down the ship. No one enters or leaves without direct authorization. We need to reach the station's central communications hub. The station's corridors were eerily empty. Emergency lights cast shadows that seemed to move on their own. Vena's natural luminescence provided their main source of illumination. As they moved cautiously forward, I'm detecting multiple life signs ahead, Vena whispered. Their energy signatures are masked somehow. Shadowborn stealth tech, Ryland surmised. Can you counter it? Venice form brightened. Yes, but it will reveal our position as well. Do it better to see them coming. A pulse of crystalline energy emanated from Vena, revealing 6 cloaked figures ahead. Their armor seemed to absorb light itself, and their weapons were aimed directly at the group. Ambassador West, one figure spoke, voice distorted. The Emperor sends his regards. Funny, Ryland replied. I don't recall the Emperor authorizing attacks on diplomatic vessels. The Emperor's will is beyond your understanding. Human, the Luminar should have kept you ignorant and compliant. Now you forced our hand. Vena stepped forward, her form blazing. You speak of the Emperor's will, yet serve only your own darkness. I've seen humanity's potential. Something you fear. Potential? The figure laughed. They are children playing with forces beyond their comprehension. The galaxy has order for a reason. The confrontation was interrupted by a massive explosion that rocked the station. Alarms blared as emergency containment fields activated. Multiple hull breaches detected. Neto VOB reported through their comm station. Structural integrity compromised. The Shadowborn troops raised their weapons, but Vena was faster. Her crystalline form erupted with blinding light, sending them staggering back. Ryland and Winters seized the moment, disarming 2 guards while Vena's energy pulses incapacitated the others. The station's reactor is destabilizing, Vena announced. They're trying to destroy the evidence, and us with it. Can you interface with the station systems like you did with our ship? Yes, but stabilizing the reactor will take all my focus. I cannot protect you. Ryland checked his weapon. We'll handle security. Just save the station. As Vena interfaced with a nearby terminal, her form pulsing with strain, Ryland and Winters fought their way toward the reactor control room. More Shadowborn troops emerged from hidden passages, but the element of surprise was gone. They reached the reactor core to find it pulsing with dangerous levels of energy. Through their neural link, they could hear Vena's strained voice. The containment fields are failing. The overload was triggered by an encrypted command. It bears an Imperial signature. Can you trace it? Yes. The signal came from the Emperor's personal flagship. It's currently in orbit around the station. Ryland's mind raced. The Emperor himself had come to ensure their destruction, but why such direct involvement? The data we collected, he realized, it's not just about corruption. It reveals something bigger, doesn't it? Yes, Vena confirmed. The Empire is not what it seems. The Shadowborn aren't rebels. They're the Emperor's true face. The diplomatic overtures, the alliance, all a facade. As if in response to her words, a new hologram appeared in the reactor room. Emperor Nexus himself, his form radiating cold authority. Impressive, Ambassador. You've survived longer than expected, but surely you understand now your species cannot be allowed to develop independently. You must be guided, controlled, or eliminated. Why? Ryland demanded. What makes humanity so threatening? Because you change things, your adaptability, your unpredictability. You destabilize the careful order we've maintained for millennia. The Luminar were supposed to ensure your compliance. Instead, this one chose to help you. She chose freedom over control. Maybe that's what really terrifies you. The Emperor's form flickered with anger. Freedom is an illusion. The galaxy requires order. Our order, his station's destruction, will be blamed on terrorist activity. Earth will accept greater imperial protection, and the natural order will be preserved. The stellar Envo emergency sirens blared as Ryland, Winters, and Vina raced through the station's corridors. The Emperor's revelation had changed everything. The entire alliance had been a carefully orchestrated trap, multiple Imperial warships dropping out of hyperspace. Nenov reported they're establishing a blockade around the station. Venus crystalline form pulsed with urgency. The reactor is still critical. Even if we prevent the overload, they'll destroy the station to maintain their secrets. Rayland accessed a nearby terminal, reviewing their options. We need to get this evidence out. Every major species in the galaxy needs to know the truth about the Empire. The station's quantum communications array, Winter suggested. If we can boost its signal strength, I can help with that, Vina interjected. But the array is in the upper spires, heavily guarded now. No doubt they made their way upward through maintenance shafts and emergency corridors. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated from the reactor damage, making their progress treacherous. Shadowborn troops patrolled the main passages, forcing them to move carefully. Reaching the communications level, they encountered heavy resistance. Imperial elite guards, their armor decorated with the Emperor's personal insignia, opened fire with advanced energy weapons. Vina created a crystalline barrier, her form straining with the effort. Their weapons, they're using Luminar-derived technology. I can't hold them back for long. Ryland and Winters worked in perfect sync. Years of military training paying off. They outflanked the guards, using the station's damaged systems to their advantage. Emergency containment fields were triggered strategically, trapping groups of enemies. Finn finally reaching the array control room, they found it already occupied by a figure Ryland recognized from the Imperial Court. Admiral FX, the Emperor's most trusted military commander. I must admit, Ambassador, you've exceeded expectations, FX said, his cybernetic eyes glowing. The Emperor believed humans were predictable, easily controlled. You've proven otherwise. Why this elaborate deception? Ryland demanded. Why not just destroy Earth from the beginning? Because conquest through force is inefficient. We preferred to have humanity willingly accept our guidance, to embrace imperial protection against manufactured threats. The Shadowborn attacks were meant to drive you closer to us, not push you to rebellion. Venice stepped forward, her crystalline form brightening. You forgot one thing, Admiral. You taught us Luminar to serve truth above all else. Did you think we wouldn't recognize the corruption at the Empire's heart? The defective Luminar, FX sneered. Your kind were created to be tools of the Empire, nothing more. Your independent thought is a malfunction. Will soon correct. The Admiral raised his hand, revealing a device that emitted a high-pitched frequency. Then a cry out, her crystalline form cracking under the sonic assault. Rain acted instantly, firing at the device, while Winters engaged the Admiral directly. But Thex's cybernetic enhancements made him a formidable opponent. He moved with inhuman speed, easily deflecting their attacks. Your species' potential is precisely why you must be controlled, FX declared. Imagine humanity spreading through the galaxy, changing everything they touch. The chaos would be unimaginable. You mean the freedom would be unimaginable? Ryland countered. That's what really scares you, that we might show others they don't need your guidance. Either the fight was interrupted by a massive tremor. The reactor was reaching critical levels. Commander Rayland called to Winters, get to the array controls, upload everything. We have Vina. Can you boost the signal? Vina, still recovering from the sonic attack, nodded weakly. Yes, but it will require all my remaining energy. I may not survive the process. There must be another way. No time, she said softly. Some Truths are worth dying for. Your species taught me that as Winters worked on the upload and Ryland engaged Thex, Vina interfaced with the communications array. Her crystalline form began to glow with increasing intensity, channeling her very essence into amplifying the signal, the evidence of imperial manipulation. Decades of manufactured conflicts, stage rebellions, and controlled development of species began broadcasting across all frequencies. The truth of the Empire's grand deception was laid bare for the galaxy to see. Admiral Thex's cybernetic eyes widened. In horror, do you realize what you've done, the chaos you'll unleash? We've given the galaxy a choice. Ryland replied, something you never allowed them. The reactor's warning sirens echoed through the Concordia station as Ryland Winters and a week in Venice surveyed the chaos from the communications center. The evidence was broadcasting, but their troubles were far from over. Imperial fleet is moving into attack formation. Nemovar reported through their comms. They're charging weapons. Venice struggled to her feet, her crystalline form showing deep cracks from the energy expenditure. The Emperor won't let this station survive now. The podcast has exposed too much. Admiral F. lay restrained nearby, his cybernetic implants disabled by Venice energy pulse. You fools have no idea what you've unleashed. The Empire maintains order across thousands of worlds. Without our guidance, the galaxy will descend into chaos. You mean without your control? Ryland corrected Commander Winter's status of the evacuation. Lower levels are clearing out. But we still have hundreds of civilians in the mid-sectors. We need more time. The station shuddered as the first Imperial shots struck its weakened shields. Through the viewport, Ryland could see more ships emerging from hyperspace, but these weren't Imperial vessels. Multiple signatures detected. Neov announced, identifying ships from the Andromeda Alliance, the Center Confederacy, and several unregistered vessels, matching known resistance movements. Sex laughed bitterly. See, already the vultures gather. Every faction that resented Imperial rule will now seek to carve out their own empire. You haven't brought freedom, you've brought war. Vena approached the viewport, her remaining energy illuminating the scene. No, they come because for the first time in millennia, they have a choice. The Empire's greatest lie was convincing everyone they needed to be ruled. Another blast rocked the state. Emergency bulkheads began sealing as sections lost pressure. Ryland accessed the tactical display, watching as the newly arrived ships engage the Imperial fleet. Commander, coordinate with the friendly vessels. Get our people out of here. Vina, can you still interface with the station systems? Barely. What do you have in mind? If we can't save the station, we can at least make sure its destruction serves a purpose. The Imperial fleet is clustered too close, overconfident in their superiority. Understanding Tond in Venice. Luminize the reactor. If we can control its overload, we could take out half their fleet in the explosion. Ryland turned to the unless you'd care to order your forces to stand down. The Admiral's cybernetic eyes flared death before disorder. The Empire is eternal. Have it your way. Ryland activated his comm. All remaining personnel, this is Ambassador West, proceed to emergency evacuation immediately. This is not a drill. Vina interfaced with the nearest terminal, her form flickering with the effort. Reactor controls are responding, but timing will be critical. Too soon, and they'll scatter too late. Then we'll have to get it exactly right. Ryland worked alongside her, using his command codes to override safety protocols. Commander Winter's status: evacuation pods launching now. Friendly vessels are providing covert fire, but sir, we're reading a massive energy surge from the Imperial flagship. They're preparing to fire their main cannon. The station's structural integrity was failing. Whole sections were going dark as systems shut down through it all. Vena maintained her connection to the reactor controls, though each moment clearly caused her pain. Ryan, she said softly, using his first name for the first time, you need to go get to the stellar envoy. I can handle the reactor sequence. I'm not leaving you here. My form is already too damaged. This way. My end serves a purpose. Her crystalline surface fractured further, but her eyes remained bright. Your species taught me that sometimes the greatest victory comes from sacrifice. But before Ryland could argue, another blast rocked the station. Support beams crashed around them as artificial gravity failed. Imperial flagship charging to maximum power. Node VA warned, firing solution locked on station. Core Venice form suddenly blazed with renewed energy. "Go, I'll make sure they don't miss their last shot." Ryland met her gaze one final time, seeing in her crystalline depths the same determination he'd come to admire. "It was an honor, Vina." "The honor was mine, Ambassador. Now go show the galaxy what humanity can really do." As Ryland and Winters raced for the stellar envoy, the station's corridors where chaos emergency lights flashed, and the whole groaned under the Imperial assault. They'd reached the ship just as the flagship fired its main cannon, but Vina had done her work. Well, the massive energy beam struck exactly where she planned the destabilized reactor core. The resulting explosion was beyond anything their sensors could measure. A sphere of pure energy engulfed the heart of the Imperial fleet. When the light faded, the Empire's mighty ships were reduced to drifting debris. The flagship itself was torn apart, taking with it the highest ranks of Imperial command. In the aftermath, as rescue ships gathered survivors and the remaining Imperial IAL vessels, Flood Ryland stood on the stellar envoy bridge. The station was gone, and with it a being who had shown him that even in the darkest reaches of spacelight could be found in unexpected places. Sir Winters reported, "We're receiving transmissions from dozens of worlds. The broadcast reached even further than we hoped. The Empire, it's falling apart." "No," Ryland corrected, watching the ships from formerly subject-aided worlds arrive to help. "It's transforming. The galaxy is about to change, Commander. The question is, are we ready for what comes next?" The aftermath of the Concordia station's destruction rippled across the galaxy. The stellar envoy, now joined by a growing fleet of resistance vessels, made its way to Earth to brief the Planetary Council on the dramatic changes reshaping galactic society. Rand stood before the council chamber, the evidence of Imperial deception displayed behind him. The Empire's control was built on carefully manufactured threats and false promises of protection. With their deception exposed, dozens of worlds are declaring independence. Reports streamed in from across known space. Imperial forces were in disarray, their command structure shattered. Some worlds descended into chaos as Imperial governors fled. Others formed new alliances, helping each other transition to self-governance. Ambassador, one council member asked, "What's to prevent these newly freed worlds from becoming threats themselves?" "Nothing," Ryland admitted. "Freedom includes the freedom to make mistakes, but we've already seen something remarkable happening. Worlds that were kept isolated by Imperial decree are reaching out to each other, sharing knowledge and resources." Commander Winter stepped forward. "With new intelligence, the remaining Imperial loyalists are consolidating around key fortress worlds. They're calling for a crusade to restore order, but they're losing support by the hour." The council chambers erupted in debate. Some argued for caution, others for bold action. Ryland waited until the discussion quieted before she sacrificed herself. "Vena told me something important. The Empire feared humanity, not because we were a threat, but because we represented change, our adaptability, our drive to improve, our willingness to work together. Despite our differences, these qualities terrify them." He gestured to the galactic map showing newly formed alliances. "Now we have a chance to prove them right, not about chaos, but about cooperation. Earth can help guide these transitions, not through control like the Empire, but through example." As if to emphasize this point, a new signal appeared. A line ship of unfamiliar design entering Earth's orbit. Its message was clear: representatives of the freed Luminar seeking dialogue. "The age of Empire is over," Ryland concluded, "but that doesn't mean we face darkness. Instead, we have the chance to build something new. A galaxy where species help each other grow, where differences are celebrated rather than controlled, where the light of freedom outshines the shadow of fear." The council voted unanimously to establish the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. With Earth as a founding member, the program would provide aid and support to worlds transitioning from Imperial rule, while respecting their right to self-determination. As Ryland looked out over the Earth at night, cities glowing like stars, he thought of Vena. Her sacrifice had helped birth a new era. The path ahead would be challenging, but humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as rulers or subjects, but as equals in a vast and changing galaxy. The Empire had sought to prevent change. Instead, they had become its catalyst, and somewhere in the cosmic dance of light and shadow Ryland knew Venna would be proud of what her sacrifice had helped create the end.